Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am your usual host and presenter, Advocate Tulo Hoyani. In my last episode, I promised that I would, from time to time now, look closely at the evidence unfolding in the Meyiwa trial in the Pretoria High Court. I am doing this because, notwithstanding the fact that there are other narratives, by Kelly saying that or Longwe saying that, the proceedings in that courtroom are very important because something is not right about those proceedings unfolding in that courtroom. Now, let me get to the specifics of what I want to talk about today. I will not be legalistic. I know lawyers, have got the shortcoming of being legalistic. Because if I get legalistic, then it means I'll have no audience. I'll try and simplify things for you so that we are on the same page. Let me begin by doing this. Gininda, while he was on the stand, on the many days that he has been there, right, comes up with a narrative that Kelly Khumalo was the mastermind behind the killers of Senzo Meyiwa. In other words, he says these were hired assassins. Kelly Khumalo orchestrated the whole thing and paid these assassins for that matter. This is what Gininda says. Now, switch back to the clock to when these people are arrested. As a prerequisite, the first thing that must happen to any accused person in a criminal trial in South Africa is that he must know the charge that he faces in court. That is a fundamental requirement. Everybody is entitled to know the charge or charges that he faces in court so that he can prepare a proper defense. You cannot prepare a proper defense when you know when you know when you are aware of some of the charges, and some charges just prop up of nowhere, like they're propping up in this trial before the Pretoria High Court. Let me give you or get into the specifics of what I'm saying. I am saying Advocate Munisi rightly points out to Gininda to say to Gininda, in the summary of facts and the indictment is just, the word indictment is just another word for a charge sheet. In the summary of facts and the charge sheet, nothing is said about Kelly Khumalo, let alone Kelly Khumalo being the mastermind behind the killing of Senzo Meyiwa. And the accused persons are entitled, and I want to emphasize this entitlement, they are entitled to know the case that they face in court, and that includes the summary of facts and the indictment. In other words, when you go to court, you must know what you are charged with, so that pre-trial or in the days running up to your trial, you are able then to formulate a defense and know what it is that you are facing. You cannot be ambushed with facts or evidence that you are not initially brought, which was not initially brought to your attention, such that you can prepare your defense adequately. This is a fundamental requirement of a free trial. Nothing more and nothing less. Now, what happens is, under cross-examination by, among others, Munisi, Gininda concedes that Kelly Khumalo was the mastermind behind the killing of Senzo Meyiwa. But initially, from the inception of this trial, these people were never aware that, in fact, the evidence that the prosecution has against them and the police is that they were hired assassins. How then would you just discover in court that, oh, by the way, I'm a hired assassin, without having that been disclosed to you at the beginning of the trial, so that you can conduct a proper defense? This is a travesty of justice. This is a mistrial. I dare say this is a mistrial. On that score alone, on that ground alone, this trial can be set aside, because accused persons' rights here are being infringed, and grossly so. How then do you get ambushed? Because this is what Baloyi and Gininda are doing. They are ambushing the accused persons with new evidence, which was never initially disclosed, and that prejudices them in their defense. Because for the first time, like I indicated earlier on, they are hearing that Gininda says, oh, we are hired assassins. They've said we have got nothing to do with the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. But Gininda now all of a sudden says, in fact, you hired assassins, and they are hearing this from him for the first time. When the charge sheet and the summary of facts does not say anything about this. On that score alone, this trial deserves to be, appealed, and on appeal, I bet on appeal, chances are this case will be dismissed as a mistrial. This is not fairness on the part of, Gininda and Baloyi are being unfair to the accused persons by doing this. And the saddest thing about it, as I watched this unfold, I said to myself, but the judge is just sitting there. Sometimes the honorable judge forgets what his role is in this trial. When one party, either the defense or the prosecution, raises an objection, the duty of the judge as an umpire is to come in between, listen to both sides of the story, and make the necessary ruling or decision, so that going forward, that matter gets settled, right? If Mnisi has no right to ask Gininda what Mnisi wanted to ask him, and Baloyi stands up to object, right? The judge must then make a ruling or decision as to whether Baloyi's objection, right, stands or carries weight, or whether what Mnisi is saying is in fact correct. Then look at the two arguments, let the two people, exchange whatever arguments they exchange over the issue, and then make a decision. None of this happens. The judge just gets they keep on pecking at each other, right? And the judge does not intervene. And whenever he intervenes, you see him lean towards Baloyi. I'm a bit troubled by that. You don't see him, coming in between to make a ruling, which is a fundamental and gross irregularity. Because how then do we go forward when an issue is just left hanging in the air like that? And there's a judge here who must determine, whenever there are disputes between the two parties, the court has to come in between. That is what the judge is there for in the first place. That is, that is the role that he has got to play. If he does not play that role, I don't know what he's sitting there for. So I am saying that on the basis of that and on the basis of that alone, this is a mistrial. This is, in my own view, a travesty of justice. And I'm entitled to my views. This is a free country, right? The Constitution allows me to, gives me free speech. I'm not trying to, to malign anybody here. I'm not trying to, tarnish anybody's image. I'm just concerned about, the way this case is being tarnished. It is a case that is being tarnished with unfairness, right? And this unfairness cannot go unattended. So this is one of the major issues. That I'll be taking up in this trial. As I dissect the evidence, remember now I'm at the stage where I'm dissecting the evidence for you, my audience, to be on board. This is why I don't bring you, court recordings. I don't bring you court recordings. What I do on this channel, right, is to present an issue that transpired in court, right? I don't give you arguments, exchanges between two, lawyers, which might just be Greek to you. I bring up the issue and then, analyze the issue for you to understand, so that me and you can, have a common understanding of what is happening, so that through your comments, which I value very much, right, I can get feedback from you, and we can try and, find a way forward out of this. Because these things, frankly speaking, are troubling. I don't think those 5 men sitting in that courtroom are getting a fair trial, if this is anything to go by. And I maintain very strongly that on the basis of that alone, This is not a fair trial, right? This is not the sort of, fair trial envisaged by our constitution. It is far from that. And on that basis alone, it can simply be set aside. And the five people that we see in the dock set completely free just on that basis alone. That irregularity on its own is enough, to set those 5 men that you see sitting in the dock free. But I'm troubled about, Baloyi and Gininda. Something is not right between these people, because the things that they do are just worrying and unprofessional. Frankly speaking, they're unprofessional. Having said that, let me round up my episode for this morning by saying thank you for the subscriptions that I'm seeing. I'm very encouraged by that. And thank you very much for the views that I'm seeing. A lot of you want to get into personal contact with me. Let me give you my number. My number, I'll say it very slowly for you. If you have a pen next to you, you can take the number. It's available on WhatsApp. The number is 063 640 4329. Let me repeat that for you. The number is 063 064 4329, and the number is available on WhatsApp. So if you want to, have a chat with me on WhatsApp, be it in a voice note or a text, you are free to do so. Me and you can interact so that we move along together, hand in hand. Thank you very much for the subscriptions that I'm seeing, and thank you very much for viewing my videos. I am humbled. I am really humbled by what I'm seeing. This is way beyond expectations. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.